Hello, this is Dr. Mercola, and today I'd like to talk to you about a very important topic for men, and that is prostate health. Now, you may not be aware, but 90%, yes, a full 9 out of 10 American males have less than optimal prostate health by the time they reach the age of 60. And what's becoming even more of a concern is that over the last few decades, that age has actually been decreasing to the point where many men who are 30 and 40 years old are having problems in this area. And this is unfortunate because traditionally the approach to treat this has been radically aggressive interventions such as surgery, the administration of dangerous chemicals intravenously, and even radiation. But the interesting trend that's happened in the last few years, however, is that when researchers carefully evaluate the results of men who have been given this aggressive intervention and those who have not received any, they didn't really notice a big difference. So there's this evolving trend in conventional medicine to actually treat the conditions of less than optimal prostate health with a watchful waiting approach. So they're just going to watch and monitor men and see if anything develops over time. And while that is certainly useful and less harmful than the administration of some of these more aggressive techniques, I think we can go one step better. In fact, I think we can go one exponential step better because frequently there are lifestyle changes and modifications that can radically improve prostate health. One is that there's been enormous research involved in the sexual activity of men, and that is that when you have a high ejaculation frequency, this has been shown to pretty radically improve prostate health. And the reason being is that when these ejaculation emissions occur, there's a tendency to remove many of the toxins that build up and then tend to irritate and inflame the prostate gland. So that's one simple thing that can be done. But additionally, there are many nutritional interventions. And probably the single most important approach, and I think is criminal negligent malpractice if it's not implemented, would be your vitamin D level. Now, ideally, we're designed to get vitamin D from the sun. That is, expose as much skin as we can. If I just go out in the sun dressed like I am now with my face and hands exposed, that's not going to work. Even if I'm out there for hours, I'm not going to get enough vitamin D. I really need to take my shirt off and go into some shorts and have my back and my front exposed for a significant amount of time, to the point where I'm getting a tan. Now, of course, you never want to get overdosed. You want to just have minimal exposure to minimal amount to lightly change the color of your skin. Now, if you're darkly pigmented, you're going to need to have another parameter, but that's the basic idea. Now, if it's winter and you can't have access to the sun, then certainly a safe tanning bed that doesn't have a magnetic ballast in it would be useful. And if those two options aren't available, then you can take the third best option, which is swallowing oral vitamin D. And typically the doses for adult men are ranged between 5 and even up to 20,000 units. And the only way you can know if you're taking enough is to have your blood level tested. And that blood level should be at a minimum of 50 nanograms per ml and can be as high as 80 or even 90. So that's something that if this is a concern for you, I would absolutely highly encourage and recommend that the vitamin D level be seriously addressed. There are 2 other oil-soluble vitamins that have been shown to radically improve prostate health to the point where it's almost twice as healthy as normal. And those would be vitamin K2, and it's not vitamin K1 that's in vegetables. It's vitamin K2, which is a bacterial fermentation process, and it's available in foods, and fermented vegetables and foods are like natto, but it can also be purchased as a supplement. And then the other one would be vitamin E. There's also some minerals that can be extraordinarily useful here, and there's 2 primary ones that stick out. Now, one would be selenium, and selenium is a cofactor in your body's production of glutathione, which is a very important antioxidant, perhaps one of the most important in your body. So it not only is useful for prostate health, but many other systems. And then we have iodine, and that's also a pretty useful approach that one can take. And then lastly is calcium and magnesium. There was a study done about 12 years ago out of Harvard that actually looked at 50,000 men, and they viewed and they observed that men were taking between 1.5 and 2 grams of calcium a day, and men who were taking less than 0.5 gram of calcium, or 500 milligrams. And they found a significant difference in the prostate health of these 2 groups. So the speculation was that calcium in excess may be harmful, and certainly if you're taking calcium supplements, you want to make sure you're combining it with magnesium, and that can be a really important issue because maybe this imbalance of calcium and magnesium has a significant approach. And then lastly, and perhaps one of the more important components, is a hormonal approach to this. And let me just discuss this because I think it's really important. There traditionally, maybe 10, 20 years ago, testosterone, the male sex hormone, was thought to be a primary culprit of prostate health, imbalance of prostate health. And as a result of this, there were many therapies that aggressively sought to radically reduce testosterone levels in men who were suffering from conditions of less than optimal prostate health. But the trend has shifted away to the point where they recognize this is not the issue at all. In fact, testosterone is actually a normal and essential healthy part of improving prostate health. But there's a metabolic breakdown product of testosterone, which is called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT for short. And interestingly, higher levels of DHT have been shown to be associated with much lower levels of prostate health, and even other organ systems like your scalp, and it can cause conditions that may be less than optimal for scalp conditions. So, and I wish I would have known about this a while ago, otherwise I would have looked at it more carefully. So now you're wondering, well, what can I do about this? How can I prevent my normal healthy testosterone being converted to DHT? Well, I'm glad you asked, because there's a really simple solution for this. There's one primary enzyme that's responsible for making that conversion from testosterone to DHT, and that enzyme is called 5-alpha reductase. And there are actually some supplements that can have a significant influence on this hormone to actually improve prostate health. And one of those, and probably the most common one that you've heard about, has been used for well over a century, is saw palmetto. And interestingly, saw palmetto is an herb that was primarily grown in the United States, in the semi-tropical areas like in Florida. And actually the extracts of high-quality extracts of this herb has been shown to have significant influence on 5-alpha reductase. So that can be an important adjunct in addition to the other lifestyle changes that I mentioned earlier. And if you're interested in using this approach, it's important to know that this is not brand new news, and there are many people and lots of companies who are offering saw palmetto extracts. And I just wanted to give you some guidelines to help you understand how to find a higher quality one. And one of the key ones is to make sure that the raw material, the saw palmetto berries, are good berries. They have to be harvested at the right time of the year so they have the maximum amount of nutrients and enzymes in there to make a difference. And in addition to that, since you're not eating the raw berries, you're eating an extract of them, you have to make sure that the extraction process is done in a way that's going to provide the maximum amount of active ingredients. And there are two primary ways to take to perform the extraction. And the far superior and the more recent and advanced technological process is something called supercritical carbon dioxide extraction, where it's very gentle but highly effective at extracting these ingredients, but at the same time there's no harmful solvents used, so that it's really no toxic side effects from that, and that's much better than the alternative one. So if you're going to get a saw palmetto extract, I would highly recommend talk to the manufacturer, look at their page, and find out if they're using supercritical carbon dioxide extraction. That's the first one. And then after you've confirmed that, to make sure that they're following the highest quality standards. You have to get it from a high quality company, because I just reviewed a study recently that did DNA sampling on many of the herbal products that are out there, and this recent study that was published showed that up to 1/3 of the supplements had no active ingredient in there. So I mean, that's just simple fraud, but because the regulations are pretty loose in this area, and it's almost impossible for the government authorities to check every single product out there, that these lower selling companies can get through with selling at a lower price, and they're able to sell at a lower price because there's no active ingredient in there. So be careful. Make sure that the company that you're purchasing from is reputable, that they're following GNP standards, and they are following high quality practices to make sure that you get the highest quality product. Otherwise, it's just simply not going to work. And then the saw palmetto berry would be blamed as not being effective, when actually it was using incorrect materials and less than optimal extraction practices, or perhaps even fraudulent activity that really was the result, and not the actual good herbal product itself that was the issue. So hopefully this information will give you really some good guidelines to address this really important topic in men's health. And And if you're following, the other important basic components too would be the simple things we talk about all the time, such as making sure you're exercising, because lowering your insulin levels will also be another important tool, and you're eating healthy foods, plenty of raw, fresh, organic vegetables. So if you're following these approaches, I think really it's, you don't have to be part of those 90% of American males who are having less than optimal prostate health. In fact, myself personally, I don't think I'll ever have a problem with my prostate because I'm following these practices, and it's not an issue. And I've been following my prostate blood level tests, and they're just absolutely perfect. And this is not what you'd expect for someone my age. Typically, there's a gradual progression in some of these tests. So, but I think you can have the same experience, and it's really information like this. It's the access to these powerful tools will help you and your family, and all the men in your life, help to literally take control of your health.